Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to take you along as we unpack, declutter, and organize my wardrobe. And we've been making some great progress in getting settled into other areas of our home, but my closet is something that I have yet to tackle. So I'm really excited to go through this process of decluttering and organizing with you today. So my kind of plan of attack here is to first put everything that I own clothing-wise onto the bed here so that I can go through it and see if there's anything that I want to declutter, and then make sure everything's well organized because I have a feeling that some of it might have gotten mixed up in the packing process. And then after everything is nice and organized, we'll take everything over to my closet and figure out exactly where it's going to go, and I'll take you along as we do that. So that's the plan for today, and I'm excited to dive right into this. If you haven't already though, be sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week, and let's dive right in. So to start this off, I'm just going to put everything out onto the bed right here, so let's do that now. So this is all of my clothing, kind of how we moved it laid out. We have sweaters in here. I think this is just like pants and miscellaneous clothing. Undergarments are in this bag. These hanged clothing we moved with as such. And then this is usually off-season clothing, but I also have some activewear and sleep stuff in there from the move. So I think the next step here is just going to be to get it all out so that I can organize it and figure out if there's anything I want to declutter. So let's do that now. Okay, so I just went through my off-season clothing box and just spent a few minutes removing any of the clothing that was for the fall winter time of year. So I'll show you what it looks like inside now. Okay, so here we have my off-season clothing. Right now it's full of warm weather clothes. So I've got shorts, t-shirts, tank tops, bathing suits, things like that in here. Typically, I like trying to declutter clothing when it's in season. So because this is not seasonal clothing and because it all very easily fits into this tub, what I'm going to do is just set this tub to the side, and then we can focus our efforts on decluttering the clothing that is actually in season. Okay, so everything is now out, but as you can see, this is a wildly disorganized mess containing my socks and underwear, sleeping clothes, sweaters, pants, literally it's all here. So next what I'm going to do, just to make the decluttering process a bit easier, is to sort everything by kind, and then also for anything that's going to end up folded, I'll fold it as well. So that's the next step in this process, just so that we can bring some order to the chaos and make some more informed decisions as we declutter. And whether you're in the process of unpacking or you just want to declutter your clothing, this is a great way of being able to do it. Start off by just getting everything out onto a bed and then organize it so that as you're going through it, not only can you see everything you own, but you can also see how many of each kind of item that you own. So that's just a quick tip. I've always found getting everything out to be so helpful when I'm decluttering, but now let's get to organizing. Okay, so here's everything all sorted out, and it is looking so much more organized. I have my hoodies here, 3 piles of sweatshirts here. This is definitely going to be something that I want to focus on as I'm decluttering. I have my pants here, a few t-shirts that I kept out of the off-season storage for those warmer days. My activewear is here, sleep and loungewear is here, and then these are just a couple thermal layers for colder days. And then I have undergarments in these 2 baskets and my hung up clothing. So what I like to do now is to identify where I see kind of excess in my wardrobe. So immediately the sweaters jump out as something that I want to focus on. Same thing with the undergarments. So I'm going to focus on those areas first and then give everything else just kind of a look through to see if there's anything else that I want to let go of. So that's kind of how I like to approach decluttering my wardrobe, is to identify what areas just visually look like I might have too much in, and then I can kind of target those areas and get the ball rolling with decluttering and move on to other areas from there. And I've shared this before, but the way that I like to kind of decide whether or not I'm going to keep an item is by asking myself 2 questions. Do I use it, and do I love it? Those 2 questions really tell you a lot about how much use or how much value an item actually gives to you, and it can be a really helpful tool that you can use when you're trying to figure out whether or not you should let go of an item. So I'm going to go through that process right now, and I'll share the results with you when I finish. Okay, so just finished going through my sweaters and undergarments. Here's a few that I'm going to be decluttering. First off, this one I have just worn to a point where it is extremely well loved and it's basically nothing but pills at this point, and I've tried but I can't remove them. So I think that this guy has been worn to a point where it's okay to say we got our full use out of this item. I also have this sweater, which I really love, but I do have other black sweaters, which I've been reaching for more frequently recently, and I just don't see the point in owning multiple black sweaters, so I'm going to be decluttering that. This sweater is one that I've loved for a while, but I think it might have shrunk in the wash or something like that, and it now comes up pretty high on my wrists, so I'll be letting go of this. It's also not super flattering, just the point where it hits me at. And then finally, this sweater is something that I love visually looking at, but I just don't think that this color is great on me. I have other sweaters that are in a little bit more of a caramel-y color, and I think that they look a lot better. I think because this one is more kind of orangey and greeny, just the undertones of it don't really match my skin all that well, and I feel like I look a bit sick in it. So it's in great condition, and I'll definitely see if I can pass it on to someone else who can love it, but I just think that that specific shade isn't my best shade. So 4 sweaters I'm letting go of, and I feel like that's actually a pretty good number. And then for my undergarments, I have quite a few items again. I have these 3 socks that all have a really fun kind of winter pattern to them, but unfortunately they really are just too small, and so they're always sliding down my ankles, and that just drives me absolutely crazy. So I'm going to be probably recycling these. That's typically what I like to do with undergarments. I also have a few pairs of worn out underwear and bras that the elastics have just finally given out on, or they've developed holes, so that's natural, happens over time, but glad I was able to go through them and get rid of the ones that will no longer serve me. And then I think it was because of the move, I found so many random socks that didn't have their pair. I'm guessing the paired socks for most of them are hanging about the house somewhere, and maybe they made their way into a box that hasn't been unpacked yet or something. So I think I'm probably going to hold on to these for at least a couple more weeks while we unpack everything. But then after that point, if I can't find the pair, if it got lost in the move or anything, then I'll let go of them at that time. But for now, I will be putting them in my sock drawer. But both of these went from overflowing to fitting really well, so happy about the progress there. So now my plan is to go through all of the other piles we haven't touched yet to see if there's anything else that I want to declutter. just finished going through everything else and found 4 more things that I want to declutter. First off, one of my thermal Larrys I'm going to be getting rid of. I definitely use them when I travel or for colder days in North Carolina, but I actually have 3 and I think that that's more than enough personally. So I am going to be getting rid of this one and sticking with just 2. I'm also getting rid of this black blouse that I just haven't found myself reaching for that much, and I really think that I don't need it per se. I have a lovely sweater right here. I actually used to live in this sweater, but recently I've just found myself reaching for other items. And on top of that, I discovered I own 4 sweatshirts, which granted, I wear them all the time and I sleep in them a lot during the winter, so I'm okay with owning several, but I just don't need an extra. And so this is probably the one that I've worn the least recently. So I'm going to be decluttering that one. My other ones are like Patriots themed, and I love supporting my New England Patriots. And then I just have a white shirt that I'd been using for sleeping. And I feel like this happens to me fairly frequently, where when a white shirt becomes see-through, I'll start using it for sleeping, but then there becomes a point when it's so thin that I no longer use it even for that. So this one is wildly see-through, so I'm going to get rid of this one too. So that's everything I'm going to be decluttering today, and depending on the item at hand, I might sell, donate, gift, or recycle it. And so I'll just kind of go through each item later and figure out what would be the best kind of place for that item to go. So I'm feeling really good about what we've decluttered, and honestly I wasn't looking to do a massive declutter because generally speaking I'm really happy with the wardrobe that I have, but it does feel good to let go of some of the things that were perhaps a bit superfluous for me. But now that we've got everything decluttered and organized, it's time to put everything into our closet. So what I'm going to do now is take you into the closet and we can start setting everything up. Okay, so here is the closet. Right here is where all of my hung up clothing is going to go. And then in this shelf right here, I'll put all of my folded clothing. I definitely wouldn't say this is ideal, but I think eventually we'd love to get some custom shelving put in, but we're still a ways off from that. So this is what I have to work with. On this side of the closet, Christopher's already gotten his stuff settled in. So this kind of half of the closet is really my domain. So I'm going to just start bringing everything in. I think we'll take care of the folded stuff first and then put in all of the hung up clothing after that. Also, I think my underwear and socks bins are going to have to go up here, which is going to be a bit of a pain trying to get to every day, but unless we get a dresser or until we get a shelving system of some kind put in here, we're just gonna have to make do. Okay, I think this area is looking pretty good. On the top level, we have my pants. On the next 2, I have my sweaters. On this level right here, I just have a few t-shirts. And then the last 2, I have activewear and sleep and loungewear. So the folded clothing behind me is looking good. Last thing we need to do now is to hang up the remaining clothes on this rack here. And then I think we're pretty much good to go. So let's get to it now. So as you probably just saw, I spent a few minutes kind of playing around with where everything was because my hung up clothing ended up taking up a lot less space than I was kind of expecting it to. So I have it all here now though. I've got blouses, cardigans, things like that I like hung up here. I have my sweatshirts right here. I just find it a lot easier to hang them up. And then I have things like jumpsuits, dresses on this side. Up here we have our off-season storage, undergarments I showed you already, and then our folded clothing is right there. I'm not sure that this is necessarily the optimal solution long-term, but I'm just kind of working with what I've got right now, and I think this is definitely a great short-term solution to all my clothing storage. So that's it, and I'm feeling so good now that my clothing is all decluttered, unpacked, and organized. It definitely is a relief to have that all sorted out. Like I mentioned though, this is definitely something that's going to be a work in progress for me. In the coming weeks and months, I'll probably explore some storage solutions to see what might be best for me, whether that's potentially getting a dresser for my kind of folded clothing and undergarments, or putting in custom shelving. There are a lot of different options and I'm excited to start exploring some of them over time, but I think we've got a great setup for now. But before I go, I did want to share that this video was done as a part of Clutter-Free January. So this month I'm teaming up with about 20 other amazing creators, including The Minimal Mom and Abundantly Minimal and so many other great YouTubers, to help you to simplify and declutter your life. Each week we're tackling a different theme and helping you to declutter that area of your life. So this week, as today's video might have suggested, we're talking all about wardrobe. So if you want to declutter and simplify your closet, be sure to check out the playlist that I have linked up below. There are a ton of amazing videos on there that can help you to declutter your wardrobe and create a closet that you love. So definitely be sure to check that playlist out, and if you enjoyed today's video and haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week. And don't forget that if you want more daily inspiration and updates, you can always follow me on Instagram. I'm at ashlynne.eaton on there, and especially with the move, I've been kind of posting on there a lot more frequently and sharing our unpacking and getting settled process. So if you want to check that out, I'll have that linked up for you in the description box below. But that's everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.